Perfectly Normal, a podcast that brings you love, courage, and connection. And I'm your host, Michelle. I'm a life coach, artist, author, and pharmacist. I'm the founder of Elevate Life Coaching. It's a seminar and coaching company. Let's jump right into the show. Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Hopefully, you all had a good holidays that you celebrated and you rested, and now you're ready to go back to the workplace. So let's talk about voice. So what happened over the holiday was that my sister and her kids came home to stay with us for a couple of days, and my sister has this two little boys, and the youngest one is only 2 years old, and he is just so amazing and adorable. But as a 2 year old, what they like to do is a lot of time they like to ask questions. And so like every single thing that I do or that we say, a lot of time he would turn around and ask the question like, why are we doing this, why do we go there, and his vocabularies are still very limited, so many times he just simply asks why, and which actually it's something that keep coming up. And I was talking to someone else earlier today, and then she asked me like, so if someone who is not ready to be coached or who is not ready to have a change, what do you do in those scenarios, and like how do you convince someone to be open to coach? And the point that I was trying to share with her was that you don't convince someone to be wanting to sign up to change, right? When it comes to change, when you're ready, you know that you're ready. So perhaps it's some like your health issue or some mental issue or physical issue or whether anything that's going on around you in your life. When you're ready to change, you know you're ready to change. So I don't need to convince you to come and change when you're ready. And that's something that I don't do either. I don't come and force and direct someone, say, hey, I'm a coach, I think you're going to be benefit those so great, which I do think that every one of us can use a coach, by the way. But I don't go to someone and say, hey, listen, I want to coach you. No. When they're ready, they'll come to me. So here's the thing, though. How do you talk to someone when they're not ready to change, but you know that they're searching for some kind of transformation in their life? How do you inspire someone to create that change? So what I shared was we have to be curious. And curiosity is really the beginning of knowledge. Like if you look back and think back in our childhood, take my nephew, for example. He's only 2 years old, but he's curious about all these things that's around him, and he asks a lot of questions, and that's how we learn, and that's how where the knowledge begin, and that's where we become really explore and open to all the possibility that's around us. And so curiosity actually is a starting point of that change, right? But so how do you inspire someone to have that curiosity? Because I think the issue is a lot of us, we as we grow into an adult, we have that mentality of, well, this is where that judgment comes in, where we don't want to voice our curiosity by asking questions. So many of us feel intimidated by asking questions, and we don't engage someone, and we don't want to look bad on ourselves that, oh, why didn't you know this? Like, take for example at work, a lot of time, I have students and I mentor these students, and you ask them, how come you didn't come and ask me the question in the beginning? Like, you obviously didn't know, so why didn't you ask the question? And the answer you get from them a lot of time is that, oh, well, I didn't know, I thought I can figure it out, but I don't. And when you dive deeper behind the reason why they're not asking a question, sometimes it has to do with just being afraid that I don't know these things. And one of the things that, I gone through pharmacy training and as a pharmacist, if I don't know something, I can't make it up. I can't make shit up, right? So if I don't know something, I will have to say, I don't know. And by saying, I don't know, the phrase that comes afterward is, but I have the ability and capacity to find out more for you. Let me find out why, right? I don't know. Or what is it that I don't know that I need to find out. So, as a profession, healthcare person and have years of training, I think I started to carry that mentality of, well, if I don't know something, I'm going to ask and I'm going to find out. I'm going to investigate. I'm going to research, and so that I have answer. I have a defined answers for you. So carry that into my coaching practice. I start to encourage people to explore and asking why. So why is it you're feeling this way, or why did you do certain things the way that you do? And one of the things that I hear most from the client that I'm working with is that there is a burning message or story inside of them that wants to come out, that wants to be heard, and that needs to be spoken. And if you feel the same, I wanted to make sure that you have that full support going into 2020. So if there's any story or message that you would like to share, send me a message. I love to hear from you, your story, your message. Like, what is your intention for 2020? That was the question I asked like a couple of days ago on my Facebook, and I have great interest in knowing, like, okay, so we're in 2020. What is your why? Why are you the way you are, and why are you thinking, doing something? Why are you thinking about, eating healthy? Why are you all of a sudden you wanted to, create a business plan? Like, what is the message, the underlying message that we all carry? And I think by understanding our why, we can really determine, and we can already really find out, what are some of our values. Because when you start asking why, you discover that behind that why, there's a whole bunch of values that we hold deeply, and we show up every day, right? So for someone who values authenticity, their why may be that, well, my purpose is really to be honest with people. And if it's something against that authenticity, I can't relate to it. And that's just not me, right? And that's your reason why. So you may not be doing certain things the way that someone who doesn't value authenticity would do. Those are the reason why you do the things that you do. And what message are you trying to convey to the people that you come across? What are you trying to tell them? What are the main message that you're sending off to people? So in discovering your why, it's also important to make sure that you have that clear understanding of who you are and what you do, and also how you do it. And because oftentimes I tell people, who you are, who you are is what you do in everything. So if you're going through a journey where you're struggling, or it's a new venture in 2020, go back and ask yourself, what is your why? Like, what is that main purpose of that action? So if you're starting a new business, and you feel anxious, you feel overwhelmed, you feel nervous, you feel uncertain, behind all those feelings, go back to understanding who you are, what are your values, and how are those values being carried into your 2020 new venture. And that's going to help you to stay focused, stay motivated, and stay inspired. So I love to hear what you have in mind in terms of vision for 2020. You can find me on Instagram at Elevate Life Coach, or you can shoot me an email at michelle.quay@gmail.com, or you can always find me on Facebook at Life Coaching by Elevate. And I love to hear from you. And by the way, I'm starting a 30 days mental fitness challenge on my Facebook right now. So if you go check out my Facebook, you'll see these posts, and they're really, so the idea is I want you to start exercising your mental fitness, right? So just like our body, our brain is made of little tiny muscles that we don't think about exercising them too much. And when you go through that mental challenge or mental struggle, and when you feel judged or fear, uncertainty, those are the time that we can truly stand back and start practicing and using those muscles so that we can strengthen them. And in the future, in any situation, you'll be able to have that ability of, understanding what's going on and how to handle them more appropriately. So check it out on Facebook. I'm at Life Coaching by Elevate, and you'll see these posts, and I post challenges for everyone. So it's going to be a 30-day process. Every day you can expect a little post, and I will ask you questions and ask you to reflect back. And really, this is about creating that awareness that you should have and the curiosity that you should have about your life and how do you want to show up in 2020. So I look forward to hear from you. And until then, have a great, great, fascinating, amazing first week of 2020. Hey, thanks for joining me this week on Perfectly Normal. Make sure to visit my website at elevatelifecoaching.org. And if you found values in this show, I appreciate a rating on iTunes and Spotify. Or you can simply tell a friend about the show. That will really help me too. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. And be sure to tune in next week for our next episode.